Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages this time, where a father and son sit down and talk about some fantasy-related things, maybe books. I don't actually know today. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim, and this is a random, chaotic live stream celebration episode, which is why he has no clue where we're really going with this today.
Now, that
But
might
thanks,
be a misnomer. I might have some clue,
some clue.
but not a lot.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us today. Those of you in the live chat, feel free to jump in with comments and what all, because we're going to just free flow, talk about a few things here today, as we're happy to be able to have this opportunity to engage with you, fantasy for the ages. We're just doing our thing. And wow, Zach, we've been doing this now for like 3.5 years.
That's a long time.
Uh-huh. That's it's been a lot of fun. And it's morphed over time. I mean, the first year we didn't even have it on YouTube at all yet.
No one got to see our faces. Thank goodness.
Hey, I've always been dashing and awesome. I mean, you were a little scruffy and young.
I'm still scruffy and I'm still young.
Oh man, thanks, Matt's Dagger. Look at that. He's reading the book that you recommended to me,
It's a
Zach.
good book.
It's
a
awesome.
good book.
Absolutely. That was a good one. Totally. And I'm still working through it right now. I'm almost done, but it's a great book. Having a lot of fun with it. We have, 3.5 years. Comparing what we did at the beginning of this show to what we do now, there's like no comparison.
Yeah, I mean, we are a lot further apart. You're still in about the same place.
I haven't moved at all. I'm right here. Well, that's not true. When we started, I was like right here.
Yeah, you had to leave room for me.
Yeah, you Now I'm still in Washington. You're down in Texas, but technology is grand, and we can still do all of this. And it's great. Again, want to say welcome and thank you to all of you who are showing up in chat today, and feel free to bop in with any comments and anything you want to say, because we're watching that today, as we're going to be just having some random conversations and celebrating the fact that we hit 1,000 subscribers and totally did nothing. And then we hit 1,100 subscribers and was like, oh, this is cool, but we didn't do anything. And then 1,200, ditto. Finally, we're over 1,300 subscribers now. And we're like, we should celebrate before it gets out of hand.
I've lost track of my quick math of how many more times subscribers we have than I thought we'd ever have listeners. But I'm just always blown away and very grateful that we have anyone who is at all interested. It definitely helps keep me doing all of this, as well as, I read so much more and I love it.
It's very motivating now. Yeah. I've always loved to read, but I am pushing myself to read much more, so we have things to talk about. So we should talk about that. What are we reading right now? Let's give an update. What are you on, Zach, right now?
So I had to adjust my plans a little bit of what I was reading. About 2 weeks ago, I finished up Assassin's Quest, the Last of the Farseer trilogy, all that.
Which I still haven't touched at all.
Well, and I looked at, okay, what am I going to read next? And I had gotten a whole bunch of books through the Audible Plus catalog, things that no additional charge, all that jazz. Love it. And I saw that a whole series was only going to be available for the rest of the month. Ooh. So I went, okay, well, I didn't know I was going to do this now, but I guess now we're going into the ACOTAR stuff. I'm reading Romantasy and things like that. Hey, just because you could be judgy and not like it doesn't mean it's A, not popular, B, not successful, C, not necessarily good. Hey. Am I fully aware that it gets smuttier as it goes? Yes. Am I on the final book already? Yes.
Oh, wow.
Look.
But hey, when we do content tonight, you're clearly the one leading the way. Maybe that's a solo episode.
That I needed to finish it in a month. So I've nearly finished it in 2 weeks instead of the 4 that it gave me. I'm an overachiever.
Now, I appreciate, we each bring our different flavors to the channel. So you're diving into things that I simply won't touch. But, I do notice in the chat, man, Dune, come on, man, come on.
Look, at some point, maybe I will go back and retry it and try to do more of the series. Maybe it's just another casualty of me being young when I first read it. That was what happened with The Wheel of Time for me, and I admit I needed to get back to it.
And you
now it's
enjoyed the
great.
movies, right? You enjoyed the movies.
Depends. Which ones are you talking about? Are you talking about the more recent ones or the
Yes,
really old,
yes. The
terrible
relevant.
ones?
Come on, time, dude, relevant. These two, part 1, part 2.
No, I enjoy them. I understand that it, to a certain extent, glosses over some of the more dragging and duller parts that I remember from the book, which is part of why I think Dune, these most recent movies, have a similar effect for me that the Lord of the Rings movies did, in that it takes a great story that I didn't love how bogged down in detail it gets, and instead just focused on the great story and themes and left out some cool parts that weren't necessary.
So you're saying they're making these movies for the ADHD generation, the ones that can't get details, they just need gimme.
I mean, on the one hand, I see what you're saying. On the other hand, that ignores the hyperfixation part of ADHD. If you've ever seen someone get into their special interest, they're going to gimme, and get way more detailed than you ever would. But, I mean, maybe there's some to that. I think it's accentuated in today's generation, iPad kids and all that, but I don't think it's anything new that we want to get to the gratification sooner.
Now, I haven't watched part 2 yet. It's coming out on Max this coming week, so I'm going to rewatch part 1 and then watch part 2, kind of hit them back to back. I'm looking forward to that. I was too cheap to go to a theater. I'm like, I know everybody's saying, oh, this has to be seen in IMAX, and it was probably cool, but I put down money for a big screen at home, great surround sound. You help buy the subwoofer. It'll be shaking everything on the walls.
Yeah, don't watch that movie after mom's gone to sleep.
Yeah. And then the bathroom's closer. I can pause the movie. My popcorn's cheaper. So I'm looking forward to that this week. By the way, as we talk about the Dune movies, Matt Stagger's got another comment there. Those are fighting words to some people. Some people really love that 1984 version.
And some people are wrong.
Leia, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate the congrats. It's been so fun. And Leia's been part of that, been on the channel before a couple of times. It's been fun. All right, so we've talked the Dune things, but you didn't tell me everything you were reading yet, did you?
Oh, I mean, I'm still working through. I'm still working on the Chronicles of Amber. But to be honest, I haven't read a single word in this in the past, at least week, because the romantasy took over. I had to get through it before it disappeared. I didn't want to have to go buy it again separately or something.
Or didn't want to have to go buy it.
No, I have no problem going and buying it in the first place.
Okay. So, Chronicles of Amber, though, I've been talking about some classic fantasy recently that's been really good, and some people are like, why isn't Chronicles of Amber there? I do love the Chronicles of Amber, the first 5 books. The second 5 kind of took the luster off a little bit. They're okay, but the first 5, man, classic stuff.
There's an interesting thing, and we'll get more into it when I talk about the Chronicles of Amber period on our channel. But it feels so much like Roger Zelazny decided, I'm going to write an outline for a story. I'm going to write the broad strokes and occasionally give a little bit more. But the development of characters is, they go through this and then this and then this and then this, rather than actually getting the minutia of fleshing out the character and how they feel and think. And sometimes even in one conversation, I'm like, did we get every line of dialogue there? It feels like we skipped parts of that conversation.
Okay, hold on. All right, Roger Zelazny is skipping stuff. He's not going deep enough. He's glossing things. It's like it's only an outline. Frank Herbert, he's writing way too much. It's so deep and slow, and I can't get into it. How does anyone satisfy you, my son?
There is a very, very wide spectrum of happy medium.
I guess.
And clearly, I've read both. I'm reading
You are.
more. But that doesn't mean it's my favorite part of content. There is a certain sweet spot that is nice and detailed and gets into character-driven story. And I think that's really my bigger gripe, is it's more story-driven character right now for Zelazny stuff.
All right. Well, the Zelazny stuff does move pretty quick, I guess, because he's not going so deep. Those stories, they're short. They go along quickly. Fun stuff. Let's see. Hey, thanks, Daniel, for stopping by. Glad to have you with us here today, too. Woo-woo. We're having a little fun here. Again, chat, anything you want to say, bop it in there. We're happy to have you with us. Okay, so Chronicles of Amber, Romantasy Smut. What else? Or is that it? Has that been it right now?
I got like another 2 or 3 chapters in the Malazan book at some point.
You're still on Gardens of the Moon, right?
No, I finished Gardens of the Moon.
Oh, you did finish the first one. Okay, so you're on Dead House Gates. All right. Keep coming along.
I'm like 10, 20%.
Okay. Well, for me, I am still on Malazan too, but it's Toll the Hounds, book 8, which is actually my 10th book in the Malazan universe. I'm almost 50%. This book is the longest one in the whole series. It's taken me a while, but it's fantabulistic. I'm just loving Toll the Hounds.
I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to let it slide because I like it.
I made that up for our live chatters, okay? Fantabulistic. Take that to the bank. You can use that anywhere and spell it however you want. Okay, we have a question in the chat. So Matt's Dagger wants to know, where is the sweet spot in storytelling, Zach? You know, what book is perfect for you? So give us your sweet spot and give us an example.
I don't know if there's been a like perfect book, but probably 2 very different vibes, but good books that showcase kind of what my sweet spot is. And not everyone's going to agree, and I think that's okay. My sweet spot, I love the Stormlight Archive. I'm really looking forward to Wind and Truth coming out. It does get a little bogged down in some of the world building and things sometimes, but I find the pacing that Sanderson does when he gets into his Sander Lanch and my love for the different Cosmere connections really hits wonderful placement for my brain wanting to escape into this world, while also spending a lot of time really trying to develop a bunch of different characters so that there's not just one main character, but there's really well-rounded other characters in there as well. The other one that I think hits a really good sweet spot for me is The Axe of Cain by Matthew Stover. It's mostly because it doesn't just give really good action or really good story, dialogue, character moments, but it even sometimes does stop and bring it almost to a more philosophical conversation without spending so long in it that we lose track of the story.
Okay. All right. Yeah, not everybody's going to agree with you on that. It's funny. Some people love the Stormlight Archive. I'm a fan. Some people hate it. It's like, wow, there's no middle ground. Who's pre-ordered book 5?
I haven't yet.
I have pre-ordered.
I'm debating whether or not it will actually end up being faster to pre-order or to run to stores day of.
Well, being I only get the ebook, it's pretty fast. It'll just drop. So looking forward to it.
I want my nice physical big book.
I knew you would. Speaking of, some people, who follow our channel, you might want opportunities to get copies of like big physical books and things. YouTube did encourage us to say, hey, you could build a community now. You have enough followers. So we have a join option now. If people actually want to join Fantasy for the Ages on YouTube, and that's a way to support us. And if you do that, there are different levels you can look at. And if it catches on, that'll be fun. But the top level includes being part of giveaways. So,
Yeah.
we may give away books like the Stormlight Archive, book 5 with a big fancy leather bound. Who knows? Eventually. We'll see where that goes. All right. Just thought I'd throw that out there since it got mentioned. I said I was reading Toll the Hounds. I didn't tell.
Yes.
I am always reading 3 things. So my second thing is right here, Down Below Beyond. This one
It's
I'm reading.
also here.
Physically. Yep, there it is. By T.A. Bruno. It's science fiction. It's fun. I'm really enjoying this one. I'm only a couple chapters in so far, but you can tell. I mean, right off the bat, the feel of the book, very entertaining, very engaging, total space science fiction experience with some nice characters, some engaging developments that are happening pretty quick. It's going to be fun. I'm liking that. The last one is the one Matt Stagger already read on my recommendation, which was your recommendation, 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims.
How far into that are you?
A little over halfway, about
Okay.
almost 2/3 of the way in. And I'm loving each chapter and how it's developing each of these characters. And I know there's something at the end we're going to get to finally. So I'll get it done pretty quick now.
I thought you would enjoy it, but it was also one of those risky recommends for me because I love it because I love the creator, Jonathan Sims. He's one of the main forces behind the Magnus Archive podcasts that I loved their narrative form. But it is a little different.
Nice. Saurav, hey, welcome. Thank you for the congrats. We appreciate it, and all your regular interaction with us here on the channel. Thanks so much. Okay, so we've got the books that we've read or are reading right now. You watching anything interesting lately? TV, movies, anything worthy of conversation?
Well, there's a couple of things here and there. At least one that I want to mention, but the other. So I'm a huge D&D nerd and fan, but am very behind on certain content that I enjoy watching. Specifically, I've a bit behind on Dropout's Dimension 20 stuff. It's very good and enjoyable. Rach has watched through pretty much everything and loved it. She's going back with me through it because she got us tickets for January to see them live in Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
So that's really exciting. But I have to catch up before getting there. It's a real play D&D thing by a bunch of comedians. And
so is this on YouTube?
No, it's on Dropout, which is their own streaming service. It started as Dropout. YouTube College Humor, their parent company thing. They eventually got kind of dropped and started as their own thing very successfully. I'm not surprised you don't know them, but I would be shocked if none of the people who might someday see this have never heard of them. But no, there's that, and then I started watching.
Hey, I just want to point out, people in our chat are way cooler than me. They're all like,
"Yeah,
cool," and Dana Lou's like, "Yeah, I love Dimension 20." Okay, I have no idea what any of this stuff is, but hey, other people are more connected than I am.
I just figured I know you well enough that you probably wouldn't know them, but they're great.
I'm not surprised Leia knows about them because she's doing that kind of thing. Leia's got some D&D streaming stuff happening now that's fun. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to one shot. So
the other thing that I've recently, I'm again behind because I don't watch enough TV.
Because we read too much.
Yeah, but there's that Fallout show that they started making. Have you watched any of that?
No, because it's based on a game that I've not done anything with.
It's really well done. The story's great. I think we're in a very interesting age of adaptation where we've moved not just from adapting the occasional book or something, but we've got various comics and games and books turned games turned now shows and things that are getting adapted to the screen because there are so many good stories out there. And we just want to keep doing them. Eventually we'll get to somewhere where we're telling a lot more new stories through TV again.
Okay.
But I'm not going to complain about seeing things I love get some time in the sun.
Now, I have gone ahead and watched some shows based on games I never played, like The Last of Us on HBO was fantastic. I enjoyed that. Spencer, the Fantasy Files podcast is here. Good to see you, Spencer. And he's actually putting in there. I love this one. You don't have to have played the game, Jim. My mom watched it. So, like, okay, if his mom watched it, I'll manage then. I'll be cool. I guess, you know, that generation thing is happening again, you know. So all right, that's fun. You know, Dana Lou is also telling me it's worth a try. Fun sci-fi. I guess I'll have to check it out. I'm
It's
getting all
good.
the
You'll
recommends.
recognize some great actors in it as well.
Okay.
It's good.
I might have to, you know, veer away a little bit from all the cooking shows I watch instead.
Are you getting back into like your Chopped stuff, or is this a great
we've been watching
British
Chopped.
baking show or
No,
British
we've been
Bake Off
watching,
or whatever?
No, not British baking show, but Chopped, Next Level Chef, Master Chef Junior. You know, all these. Crime Scene Kitchen. There's lots of them that we do actually enjoy. Half of them have Gordon Ramsay yelling at people, but
as he does.
Yeah, as he does. Hell's Kitchen, you know, things like that. All right. What else? Let's see. Have you done anything interesting lately outside the norm? I'll let you think for a minute.
Yeah, you go first.
You know, your mother and I have been doing a bit of wine tasting. That's not outside the norm, but we've been going various places to do it. And we're looking forward to doing some more this coming weekend because your sister and her partner are coming to visit.
Woo!
So we're going to have an extended Memorial Day weekend. We took a few days off. We'll do some hiking. We'll do some tourist things. We'll get out to the gorge. We'll do some wine tasting. That should be nice. Looking forward to having Melissa and Emily here. And just kind of doing stuff for a few days. That's nice. And this week before they get here, I'm going off to the Central Valley of Oregon. It's a work retreat, but out just south of Bend, Oregon, and we'll be in Bend a little bit too. Good places to eat, nice places to hike. So that's some different sort of stuff on my schedule. How about you?
Let's see. Recently, so there's this escape room place here in Austin that we've enjoyed. We had done all of them at some point with our various group of friends.
Your mother and
the
I
one
too?
that we took you to, yeah.
Okay. I've been there. I can vouch for it. Cool place.
So they made a new one. So we went and we tried it out. We got out plenty in time. We were fine. But it was interesting because there was one part where we definitely were supposed to find some tinfoil somewhere and connect a circuit. And I instead found the handle of something else that fit the same size and was made of metal. And they come in at the end and they're like, I've never seen someone do that. I was like, it worked. I thought it was what we were supposed to do. Oops. Oops.
But it worked.
But, you know, I like my puzzles.
Yeah. Okay, you guys got to hear about this. When we visited Zach and Rach, was that last November? It was just last November, wasn't it?
Just this past November. So 6 months ago?
So we're down there in Austin, and they took us to this escape room where they had done all of the things already. So they're going to go in and kind of try to, you know, be in the background a little bit, play a little dumb, let Judy and I kind of puzzle things out a bit. We've never done escape rooms before. And they just literally couldn't help themselves.
We held back so much from what we could have done.
Now, we'd still be in the escape room probably if they hadn't have done that, but it was a fun experience. And yeah, you guys tried, but you're very competitive too, which I take some credit for. It was a hoot though.
Look, we were absolutely going to let you guys figure out as much as you could, but also make sure that we didn't get stuck in there.
You had a reputation to defend.
We have never failed.
So we're getting some great book recs in the chat. Have you? Yeah, I have not done the Powder Mage books. Have you touched those?
I have not, but it just by the name makes me think guns and magic, which is always a weird, fun combination. I don't know if that's right at all. It's probably not.
And then the Koban series by Stephen W. Bennett. I've not even heard of that. All of these recs, though, I'm going to be going and taking a look at and probably putting them on my TBR. So keep them coming.
Spot 2007.
There's not that many yet. I'm still only around 1,400 because I read some and they come off, and then I add more, and it just kind of keeps balancing around there. So,
I'm glad to see that it is guns and magic.
Yeah, not bad. And Daniel here saying it another way. Yeah, so there is gunpowder. You were right, powder mage.
Gunpowder, treason, plot, all the Guy Fawkes things.
Yeah. Okay. Moving into a little more content here, kind of the last sort of stuff I want to talk about. We've had some episodes lately that have been really popular. I mean, one of them that's gone over 2,000 views now just by itself, and it was not a short episode, a really good one here. Talking about some classic fantasy and then others on classic sci-fi, classic TV episodes, the most recent one, shows in science fiction and fantasy. But they were all just me. I want to hear some of your thoughts in some of these categories. So just focusing on fantasy fiction. And when I said fantasy classic stuff, I was talking about the car definition. A car becomes a classic vehicle if it's over 20 years old and was a good car to start with. Over 20
so we're
years
using
old.
that definition.
So we need things older than 2004.
Okay.
When they started. That's where I kind of hedged on it a little, though most of what I included was much older than 2004. Okay. So what comes to mind for fantasy series, and not things that aren't done, complete series that's classic that you like? Do you have any?
I mean, you can't get more classic than The Lord of the Rings.
True. Yeah.
That is the definition of classic.
Which you like movies better than the books.
But I enjoy the book. Like, it's not like the books are bad. There are books I enjoy more. A lot of classic fantasy, when I think of it, I'm going back to like stuff written in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Falls into some tropes and parts of stylistic writing that often I don't love. Sometimes I do, and I'm usually surprised in a good way. One good example of that is when I had picked up that first book in the Rift War cycle. I was very pleasantly surprised. You start getting to the 90s and 2000s, which still fits in your definition, and we start getting to more things that I've really enjoyed.
Okay.
By
the way, you said Rift War. That is one of the ones that I have on my list. Rift War was there. Of course, it didn't end until like 2013 or something.
Correct. And like the easy spot for something that started in what you would consider classic is the thing we talk about the most, Wheel of Time.
Absolutely. And it was certainly on my list. Wheel of Time.
I'm seeing a comment here. I can't tell either whether I would love or hate Earthsea. I don't know.
Earthsea, man. I haven't read it. It's also one of those big gaping holes in my TBR. I never got around to it. Ursula K. Le Guin.
I have held off because I'm scared whether I will love it or hate it. And I don't want to disappoint myself and end up not liking it.
I know what you mean. It feels like the Belgariad for me, David Eddings. I didn't read it for... I didn't even hear about it back in the day. Finally read it a couple of years ago and went, that's it. That was it. I mean, it didn't do anything for me, and I was sad. I'm like, maybe if I'd read it back then, I would have loved it. I probably would have loved it, but now it felt a little weak to me. All the Belgariad lovers are going to hate on me for that. But yeah, so Wizard of Earthsea, same risk.
So give me your top 3 classic fantasy stories, reads that you included, and I'll let you know if I even like them.
Wow. From memory, can I remember the top 3? I can remember the top 2 without a problem, and that was Well, I want people to go watch the episode, though. The Wheel of Time was in the top 3. I'll tell you
Okay.
that. Malazan Book of the Fallen was in the top 3.
Which I'm
It starts in
enjoying.
1999. So, I mean, it fit in the classic. It finishes much later. I mean, they're still writing books, but the core 10 finished.
I think it definitely has like big epic fantasy vibes, but it feels modern enough that I don't know if I would really put it as far back with some of that. But maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just the fact that if it's only as old as I am, it doesn't feel like it belongs in classic fantasy.
Wow, that's right. Malazan Book of the Fallen and Zach are the same age.
And one of those is more complex. It's not me.
No, that's true. It was really complex. Then we get to Zach. Little shallow, needs more development.
Yeah. Harsh, but it's your fault, I guess.
Oh, so the author needed to do a little more research when putting this together.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the editor's fault.
Don't bring mom into this.
She had something to do with it. I'm just saying. We're getting close to we're not that kind of podcast territory now.
I was going nowhere near that. We were all on nurture. All on nurture
there. What was the other one that was in my top 3? It might actually have been the Dragon Riders of Pern.
Which I've enjoyed the like half of that I've read, but is it fantasy? Is it sci-fi? Is it both?
Well, funny you should say that. I did a top 10 list of classic completed science fiction, and the Dragon Riders of Pern is on there too.
There.
Yes.
Feels like cheating.
Hey, welcome Empress Noriko. She, another one of our regular contributors on our content. Really has like vibes with me. Maybe not you, with me. I'm just saying.
Hey, I am nothing if not a dissenter.
Science fiction, I haven't read as much as fantasy. I've certainly read science fiction, and things in the tops of that. I was talking about Foundation. I was talking about Dune. Some really great science fiction, and a number of other ones that were on there. Any for you rise to the top classic sci-fi that you've read?
A lot of my favorite like science fiction is either fantasy in space.
Nothing wrong with that.
Fantasy that gets so explained in how it is fantasy that it's actually science fiction. Like magic isn't actually magic. It's super science, and we've explained it enough that it's now science fiction, not magic. I'll be honest, I don't know what I could bring to this conversation because I don't know when things are written.
Yeah, most of what we've really gotten into recently in science fiction was more recent. Red Rising, The Expanse. These are too new.
Oh, I like Daniel's suggestion there.
Absolutely. Ender's Game. It's not in my top 10 because I was able to think of others that I really elevate higher. And my issue with Ender's Game is it's a quadrilogy, and I really only like the first 2.
But I mean, the first 2 is really the only part of the story you have to care about. The rest, I didn't bother reading. I got about 2 chapters into the next book and said, nope, I'm done.
But I did enjoy Ender's Game, the first book, immensely.
Speaker for the Dead was good, too.
Yeah, it was starkly different.
Weird.
But I did enjoy it. And then the other 2, I read them, but I'm like,
Rach had read Ender's Game way back, and she had enjoyed it. And she didn't know necessarily that there was actually more. But I started talking about Speaker for the Dead, and talking just a little bit about it. And she was like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "No. It's weirder than I'm explaining, but it's good." I mean, pig people. Enough said.
Okay, fair. I'm curious then, as we talk about TV.
Yeah.
science fiction and fantasy that's classic. How many of the ones that I listed there you'd even heard of?
All right, hit me with some.
Oh man.
Because I
Okay,
mean, there's the easy money of like Star Trek, and of course I've heard of that.
yes. And Stargate.
Yep, both of those we watched together.
Yeah. What else? Let's see. I don't have this out in front of me for my notes. Let's see. Rack the brain now. What are some of the other ones that I put
Bring
there?
out Farscape and Sequest.
I didn't mention Sequest because it's not good enough to be top 10.
What?
And Farscape, I've still never watched. I admit it on the episode. I haven't watched Farscape.
At this point, I think it's old enough. Someone who can Google faster than me. When did Firefly come out? Is that old enough to be in this category of classic? It's definitely not classic vibes, but it's great.
Yes, still not a one I included though. Nope. Just didn't put it there. Let's see. What else did I include though? Wow. Now the brain doesn't want to go to that episode. There were a lot of really good
Battlestar
things.
Galactica, yeah.
The original Battlestar Galactica, I didn't put on there, but it was really good. I mean, it wasn't really good, but I really enjoyed watching it. Oh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the spinoff Angel. I enjoyed both of those.
Oh, hold on. Are we talking sci-fi?
Sci-fi and fantasy.
Oh, sci-fi and fantasy. Okay. I thought we were just talking sci-fi, and that's where I was like, wait a second. Those aren't sci-fi. No, those were good.
There are... Wait, what? Daniel just put in there are 16 Ender novels? I've only heard of 4. Are you serious?
When did the other 12 happen?
Oh, by the way, Fantasy Files, a hard no.
It's not old enough, actually.
Not
Give it
classic,
another 20 years, and
I'm
he
right
will
now trying to
absolutely
figure out, am I even going to watch season 2 of Rings of Power? I was so mad at that first season. I'm like, no, trash. I know.
I'll
some
watch
people
it. I don't know
probably
when it's
liked
coming
it.
out, but I'll watch that. I know House of the Dragon season 2 is coming out before
That I'm
too long.
excited for.
That I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah.
And I love
totally
me some
get
Matt
it.
Smith. So
Yeah, he's, it's a different, we're seeing Matt Smith in a different way there.
he has always had range as an actor, but he must have a terrible agent or something, because he gets good roles in awful movies, and his career has gone nowhere since Doctor Who.
Poor guy. He played the Frankenstein monster in a version of Frankenstein that was actually pretty good, but it probably kind of bombed. I can live with that. Leia just put up there. Although if
It's
I'm on
okay.
Amazon
I
to promote
will-
my content.
I will be the Rings of Power apologist here on the channel. That way they can sponsor us someday.
Now, your comments for Doctor Who, they're getting some love.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I did enjoy Doctor Who. I have not kept up. The last few seasons, I've fallen off. Honestly, after Matt Smith, I just kind of moved on to other things.
We went back and we were watching through, and we got through most of Capaldi before we had to stop to watch other things. And I think having some separation from how much I loved Matt Smith's Doctor helped me appreciate Capaldi's a lot more. It's a great job he does. Yeah.
Okay. One more thing about the TV episode, classic TV episodes. And again, I want you guys to go watch it if you didn't watch it and actually see what I listed there. But there was one that somebody who watched it put forward saying, here's one that's missing from your list. And I was like, yes, how did I not put that one there? Did you know back in the 70s, there was an exceptional TV show of the Incredible Hulk?
Is that
Chat,
the one
any of
with,
you guys watch this?
Is that the one with Lou Ferrigno?
Yes, Bill Bixby was Bruce Banner, and Lou Ferrigno was his alter ego, the Incredible Hulk. It was a weekly series. It was really well done. It was touching and heartbreaking in some ways. And Bixby's performance, let it. Lou Ferrigno was just a green muscle guy, but he did what he needed to do well too. And it was endearing. It was charming. I think it ran for 3 full seasons, might have been 4. And then they did some TV movies on a couple more TV movies afterwards of it. But
definitely never watched it. Definitely never will. But I do know it exists.
Okay. See, there we go. Someone who understands. Yeah, it was a tearjerker at times. It had heart. A Marvel-based character TV show that had heart.
That's really that is a lot of indirect shade that you're throwing on a whole lot of things.
No. I mean, that's not what I mean to do, but Marvel had a lot of missteps when it tried to get things to the screen, and then the MCU kicks off, which has been very entertaining. However, it is now starting to wander and get lost.
I think it's fair to say that the MCU has had plenty of missteps as well throughout all of it, but it doesn't have as much broad appeal as currently.
Yeah. Now somebody's pointing out no She-Hulk TV show. I was talking about classic sci-fi and fantasy, so I couldn't talk about She-Hulk, but I do have an episode just on She-Hulk season 1 that's somewhere here on our channel. I loved She-Hulk. Did you enjoy She-Hulk, Zach? Did you watch She-Hulk?
I haven't watched She-Hulk.
Oh, you're missing out. She-Hulk is actually quite entertaining.
I don't recall exactly when, but there's a point somewhere in Marvel's MCU nonsense in the past 3 or 4 years where I dropped off the face of the planet and stopped watching much of anything. And while I love and appreciate that it's there, and sometimes I will absolutely want to go pursue more there, I can't say I really miss being so into and in the hype of all these different comic book things.
Okay. Spencer at the Fantasy Files is, it's he's got great content over there. Really enjoy his opinions. I've gotten a lot of book recs from him, but sometimes he's just flipping wrong. And here we are. He's talking about She-Hulk. Trash? No. It's good to know he's human. He's flawed. He will sometimes have bad decisions. Oh, and he's shocked with me. That's great. No, I kind of put off watching She-Hulk for a little while because I was like, I'm not sure that's going to be my thing. And when I did watch it, I was surprisingly entertained. I thought it was quite good. So that's it. All right. As we kind of get to the tail end of our time here, I want to ask you one more key question.
Oh, no.
What are the next 3 things you plan to read? Obviously, things can change. You're not making a commitment here, but what's coming up for you, Zach? While you dig out your books, I can tell you mine. I've got more Malazan, of course. I'm going to finish the core. So book 9 and 10 are the next things up there, but I'm counting that as one thing, even though it's going to take me forever to get through those. I'm also going to be reading, and this is going to be my Audible read. I just picked up the first 2 of them today. It's a trilogy, the Bleed trilogy. This is more of my, whole apocalyptic kind of stuff. So this is written by a collaboration, David Moody, Chris Philbrook, and then one of my favorite authors, Mark Tufo. So the 3 of them wrote this trilogy, gods and demons, all at war, and then the whole thing is thrown off by an interdimensional force that starts consuming everything, the Bleed. And it just kind of looks like my sort of thing. So I'm going to check that out. The other thing is on my shelf. I'm going to read the Kumasagi series. We got all 4 of these from Leslie Shue. Thank you very much. So they're coming up. They're waiting. So when I finish down below beyond. These are next. So how about you?
So quickly getting the formats that I am not going to physically show out of the way. My next audiobook, once I finish A Court of Silver Flames, will be Dragonfly and Amber, getting back to the Outlander. There we go. That's the word. The Outlander series. The word was just escaping me. My brain went, nope. But then we go to my phone, and in 7 years, when I finish Dead House Gates, I will probably next be reading Yumi, the Nightmare Painter, one of those secret novels.
Never read that one. Okay.
No, I was going to intersperse those with Malazan to give me a break, but then I slowed really down on Malazan. But leaving those aside, my physical books, what comes next? First comes The Priory of the Orange Tree.
Ooh, yeah, I've not read that. I'm not sure it's my kind of thing, so I'll be interested in your take.
It's a weird thing in that it's deceptively bigger looking than it actually is.
Massive.
How can
that be deceptive?
Pages.
It's huge. You could hit someone with it and get brought up on battery charges.
It's relatively thick pages. It's at most like 800 pages, which still big, but this looks significantly bigger than that.
It looks massive.
Then we move to a highly anticipated read for me, which is The Faithful and the Fallen.
Yes.
John Gwynne.
I love that.
Really, really good there. And
sure,
then
we got some John Gwynne fans in the chat. I am sure. It's good stuff.
Another fun, very different series for me. Trying out V.E. Schwab with A Darker Shade of Magic.
Okay. I haven't read that one. I did do an episode recently on The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which was surprisingly good. Not really my thing, and yet I liked it.
So all of those will probably last me until the end of June. And then we'll get into something else.
There you go. All right. So there you go, everybody. You can see what we're going to be working our way through. We look forward to bringing you our thoughts on all of these various books, both in our spoiler light reaction videos and then sometimes our deeper dive reviews. Speaking of, later today, we're going to be recording our full spoil coverage on R.F. Kuang's The Poppy War trilogy, now that we've both read the whole set. And watch for that soon, because that will be good. If you haven't read it, don't watch this episode, because we're going to blow it all open and give away everything. But when you've read them,
then come join us.
Yeah, come see what we have to say about the Poppy War. I think that's a good spot to stop, though. I said we were going to do maybe, 15, 20 minutes. We'll see what people think if they come on and chat and hang with us. If they're here, we'll keep going longer. Well, they're here, so we went longer.
Look, I'm totally okay with the fact that we're blowing up our recording schedule, because we're here and we're chatting and it's a good time.
That's right. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. We super appreciate you hanging a little bit for a Saturday. It's been fun. And thank you for your support. Thank you, all of you who are subscribers. And we promise to just keep bringing you good content and occasional complete nonsense. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.